After the independence in 1957, rural urban migration in Ghana is increasing. Employment opportunities in urban centers such as Accra, Kumasi, and Sekondi Takoradi attract people from all rural areas to find decent work in the capital cities. Here in Accra, about 5.4 million people are concentrated on 256 kilometer square piece of land.
Urbanization is one of the most intensive and human-driven, factors that threaten biodiversity. You can see in Ghana that most of our cities are expanding, which means that there is pressure in terms of growth. Urbanization would definitely come with a complex mix of changes, including land use modification, environmental disturbance, which increase the pressure on local remnant biodiversity areas.
Today we are in Nima, one of the population-dense areas in Accra. We'll be meeting with a group of women who are embarking on various community projects to reverse the environmental and social problems caused by overpopulation.
Mothers Club is a Mercubia, young school, and Tebrofo. Inti Yanya say any pabe Kakrabi. Near tenants say, as I say, ye be at a boy a bronze. He said, maybe a chamono, Sabi, so who send ye bin with Tibia city or near my ha. Na ask him. Ah, near Didi Muana. Yamen Chadia. Now, nui. Sa Abrofuisu so bear must say, per se, omuni a ye queer. Yes, na had the any assassin better than you queer. A one woman chere must say, Yanya ye fee, betty me a ye bedua bi tontram botom container bia say anka wokɔ to atwene no wobetimi adua enso ebeye ampa wo mu yi video bi kire no kurani na neje.
This project can make a big change in Nima. That's my community. If you look around, if you compare Kanda and Nima, you can see a lot of trees in Kanda. In Nima, you can't find any. And we should ask ourselves why.
In terms of urbanization, it really has strong effect on habitat, fragmentation. And urban agriculture can help reduce this fragmentation in terms of habitat.
But one challenge is that a hanuman, if you are hanuman, a rented place, and Shadan near Yenya Yaku, being neighbor high and a waha. Wouldn't mean a full control of the place because we are used to the place now. And I'm moreover, a hanuman soon. Though a Nima by a gate, no. Send a nippon and a dot, and the Yapan and the amount more to be around. Not with deep plant maybe. And these are the challenges here war.
Edipa P and Aji atum. Nampo me anka sami fie. So ba manasle tomatoes. My jene, my mako, ataju kra my yebi. Intino, nkrofo a ye ba me ne behu ye no wo muso giye ntum. Fisesa we a wan kasa wow Emma we sika anka de be kodwom akose no. Ebeka am watimi de atua school fees books ni ade ama we de aboa.
Nto mo ni ajipa odua nso a ebe ma wan hondin ama o vitamins ana wan kasa nso ade no ubete a fresh na woti wa ade enye so obekwa kwota bi aduase de na bro anase de be wo hwehwe a woda na efichira enu anu no.
And it's also good for us to see how planting is done. We see the product in the market, but we don't know how it is planted. We don't know the process it goes through before it gets to the final consumer. But this project is a project that will help the women who have never been to the villages, who have never seen how planting is done, to try their hands on.
Enti sa edwuma ya boa me mahu se mpo enchanse no a wo boa no akobola am ya ji usika no ubetimi adua bibia anyamfasode ewu.
Menim say by afuba ko ebe san ba de na yem say the whole ebe hu gardens no more of the gardens no e wo nkrofobia fi because am ye mejo.
Dr. Rahim Mahama. I'm the General Manager here at Hikma Agro Services Limited. Here at Hikma, we are pioneers in using climate-smart agriculture in the production of seed yam. Plants need a lot of water. So here at Hikma, we use the drip irrigation method, where the drip irrigation ensures an efficient supply of water to each plant on the bed. One of the challenges we have is the extreme heat during the dry season. Usually, when it gets so hot, the plants need a lot of water in order to grow. And so we definitely have an increase in the supply of water to each plant. And sometimes the water here is not even enough for the plants. We have two phases of farming. We have the screenhouse farming and we have the open field farming. During the heat season, we record very high temperatures inside the screenhouses as well. And so we have developed some cooling methods in order to curb this heat, such as running cold water through the drip fines, and also we have misters, which increases the humidity within the screenhouse. We have fans, which also blow air in order to cool down the temperatures within the screenhouse.
Hikma Farms is one of the businesses we have actually supported. What Hikma Farms sought to do was to solve the problem of food security. And he did that by coming up with what we call developing yam seedlings, multiplication of yam seedlings. Ordinarily, what one would do is to take a tuber of yam and perhaps cut it into maximum 3 or 4. But he came up with a technology that will give you yam nodes, and you are able to multiply the nodes into several thousands of seedlings that you can now plant and have yam. We thought the idea was brilliant.
The devastating nature of the rise in sea level has been a great worry to the residents of Agavaji, Agokeji, and Salakwape and other neighboring towns in the K2 municipalities for several years now.
The coast of Keita in the Volta region of Ghana has the beautiful sight viewing with a colorful nature of the land. But on the ground, it's a different story. More than 5,000 residents has been displaced by the strong tidal waves which are caused by the rise in sea level. Experts said in 2011 that if the sea continues to rise between 2 to 6 meters annually, about 2,000 residents in the Keita municipality will be displaced entirely.
Concerning the tidal waves, I may say this started about some years ago. But to our surprise, about 10 years ago, it surfaced again. Started from Kita to Keji, Vojan, even to nearby Agaveji here, where you can see the end of the defense. From here to where the last house is about 500 meters away. All those houses have been broken by the tidal waves. And it is eating into the land steadily, small, until it reaches my house here. You know, as the houses are being broken down, the debris is under the sea. You can see our canoes. They're supposed to be in sea now, on the sea. The net will entangle with the debris, the broken houses in the sea, the iron rods, everything. and the net will be turned into pieces. But let me tell you for sure that we are entering March. Into April, you come here, you won't see any house again anymore. That's my promise to you.
This will be the second time in less than 6 months that tide waves have hit the Keita municipality in the Volta region, causing a humanitarian crisis as thousands of local residents in communities along the coastal belt, including Kejukope, Keita Central, and Abutiakope, got displaced and stranded.
I'm not around my school, but I experience so much. I forget do. I do not need to fear grammar. Sometimes I never parents I do. $1 for my cafe. I came to school. I you any agbanta. Matter rich na get na I got a little bit.
I put a no you go over a jackal. The jackal go for. I could
You see the sea become very high.
I could get to reach never not. You could not be. Kaka upon every
just like a tonight.
A poorer name, a poorer Kahamata, go flee. Where I am, I don't know, near like a new choose some welcome naka. Now, my do somehow to have my chiga. The Yaji could be less than a
Climate change has been a global issue, but the one which is more devastating and glaring is sea level rise and its impact on coastal communities. When you come to Ghana, our east coast is mostly affected. It actually causes coastal inundation and floods, destroying some coastal structures and human habitation. So, in fact, it's a serious problem, but at some point, if we are not affected, you may not actually even know. And a lot of researches are being done on it to inform the policymakers to actually try and come out with policies that will help us have lasting solution to it.
Yes, if you ask the question that have I observed any change in climatic conditions, I would say yes, I have. Yes, indeed, it has some sort of negative impact ranging from their production activities, right from planting to harvesting and drying, as well as selling. So yes, for me, I see this impacting every aspect of the production chain. Because of these changes, for instance, the time they used to plant their cocoa has either moved forward or backwards, depending on the geographical location in which you find yourself. The time they do some sort of farm management practices has also changed, all due to the fact that this climate changes in weather has brought new pests and diseases on board. So what they used to do, now they have changed. It has changed, and they are doing things that will suit the current trend. One funny thing they said was that it was the act of God, signifying the end of time. But some also are positive about the main causes, such as deforestation, the fact that people are just indiscriminately cutting down trees, the fact that people are using heavy machines on the land, the fact that we are planting and cultivating close to water bodies. These are some of the things that from the awareness study that we carried out in 2010 came out strongly from the farmers. Led to diversification, trying to not only go into cocoa production, but to add other things like animal rearing and other food crops on top. Some have also tried to inculcate agroforestry into their cocoa production, trying to plant more shade trees, trying to adhere to good agronomic practices, all in a way to try to cope or mitigate some of the effects of the climate change that we are seeing on their cocoa farm.
Coming up for you.
I would say yes.
Okay.
I would say yes. Because I try to plant some things over here. But all of a sudden, the rain stopped. I will start from when I was expecting the rains. The rains were not coming. And when the rains will stop, I didn't know. All of a sudden, everything came to an end. And the crops started to die. Yes. So, you see, I plant some vegetables here. Everything has perished. Because when I was not expecting the rains to stop, it stopped. So even I was trying to water them, but no source of water. They cut down the trees anyhow. Hey, we are fortunate to have a forest here. But because this forest or a forest reserve, because they've named it after the god here, people are afraid to get to it. Yes. But if we try to stop cutting down the trees, well, I think everything will go back to normalcy.
Sɛ ɔpɛ ne tua so kɔ na sɛ nsuo no antɔ ntam di a ɛna ɛtumi de ɔhaw no ɛma yɛ yɛni sika ɛna meka sɛ yɛ sikasɛm ɛsa na koko so nyinaa yɛ dɛ ɛso asa na ɛso asa kyerɛ sɛ ɔpɛ no akɔ anim ɛma nso gya hyehyeɛ nso ɛba yɛ afuom ɛma gya hye yɛ nneɛma no sɛ ɛhye nneɛma no sɛ apɛ no wo sɛ ɔhaw ato ɛ yɛni sika bi a yɛde bɛyɛ deɛ ɛko ebi sɛ bibia efuo no ma ne yɛfa wo asese sɛ gya bɛhye na hifa na ɛkɔkɔnya sika wo na afei ma ɛno mu yɛtumi dwe ho kakra nti sɛ nsuo no yi a no ntɛ na yɛ so yɛduadua bibi a ɛhɔ ne nsuo yɛbɛhu sɛ anigye bi wɔ hɔ a yɛbɛhu sɛ yɛso yɛbɛnya.
But when it comes to dry season, I do involve in farming. It's a problem to us when it comes to the dry season. During the rainy season, we only know farming in the north here to be in the rainy season. Not all farmers are involved when it comes to the dry season because we don't know how to go about it. Sometimes we have the ponds, the rivers and the dams, but the machines and the things to help us with the farming. We don't have it. They do. There's a change. You realize that sometimes the rainy season will come early. So when it comes early, farmers will just rush into preparing, and sometimes you realize that the rain will come once and it will stop. For us here, how it affects us is somehow seriously, because to us we do use solar system, and you know how expensive it is. So not all farmers can afford it.
Zerma ka to kunumba jela yirna ka ta jira ka yunu ta ji shukuru ko mama mokal mama na ka to ko sokora to na la jirma ma ko ta kana ta tor mokal mama ka jirna ta yuhra ar yirna jela ka ta jira nirma nurma don tiyan gubjala yan kamnan to parga waqt talman kar zon kana katlan tuura ban to bang na rashilinya kablan kana to parga waqt talman mbahna karlan zor kana katlan tuura kama ka to sugra kama ka to sugra to bor ponti to minar ngi ponti hinga tanarnya Tunggu maka tak kusuk lah.
The agricultural sector of Ghana is at great risk from the impact of climate change. This is because of the change in weather patterns, which determine yields and crop production in these areas. Changing climatic conditions pose significant threat to the growth of the agricultural sector in Ghana because of heavy reliance on rain-fed production and drought vulnerability, especially as less than 2% of the agricultural area is under irrigation.
My name is Dr. Eligave. I'm a senior lecturer at the Department of Horticulture of the Faculty of Agriculture, Commonwealth University of Science and Technology. Agriculture in Ghana is dominated by many smallholder farmers whose livelihood depends on the quality of the produce they generate and the volume of the produce they are able to generate from the farms. If they are able to produce enough, their livelihoods improve if they are able to access good quality and lucrative markets which buy their produce. But unfortunately, the effects of climate change affects their production, which leads to low productivity, low production, and poor quality of produce. It is, however, important that the farmers are able to develop highly resilient agricultural systems, which make them able to mitigate the effect of climate. In order to do this, there's a need for them to adopt climate-smart agricultural practices, such as use of irrigation systems, use efficient ways of controlling pests and managing soil and water resources in order to be highly productive in their farming systems. We believe that if efforts are made by farmers, by donor community and other institutions that work together with farmers, their livelihoods will be improved and they can become major elements in both development of the nation and in the communities in which they find themselves.
Due to the rapid change in our climate system, most farmers have to resort to the use of wastewater for irrigation, which has diverse effect on the consumer of these vegetables.
My name is Nana Janto, a broadcast journalist and also somebody into green initiative and green creativity. The reality is that some farmers have been selling off their cocoa lands for galamsey activities because they feel that it is more lucrative to sell the land for galamsey activities than the cocoa activities. The reality is that farmers are complaining about the excessive heavy metals that are found in the water bodies, and these same water bodies are used for crop production. So in effect, I think that climate change would continue, especially in our part of the country. We are found in a tropical part of the world, and unfortunately we are cutting down the trees. We are virtually doing anything anyhow, and it's going to create a lot of problem for us. We can do it. Let's think green, let's protect the environment, let's do the right thing, and I'm sure that if we back it with political will, we'll be safe and we can be able to mitigate the challenges that comes with climate change.
The climate is changing. It is hitting very hard, especially in Africa and Ghana respectively. It is causing longer dry seasons, variable and unpredictable rainfall, increasing in temperature, pests and diseases, and other unfavorable conditions which is affecting agricultural activities in the country.
Ne etsedza sɔgbɔ na mia míaƒe agble geɖewo le eba me alo wo míeyɔnɛ be tɔka wole ba me ta ne etsi dza sɔgbɔ nenema míaƒe agblemenukuwo va tsina etsi me ta ewɔnɛ be míete harvest na alo míete ŋena nu fũu fofugble yi ko míete dena le míaƒe tɔka alo míaƒe agblewo dzi eye ne fofoŋua wɔ nenema hã míkɔ afia aɖa aha kpeteshi sugarcane juice míkɔ ɖana kpeteshi alebe míkɔ yina ɖe asiwo me hafi akpɔ míaƒe gbe sia gbe ƒe abolo. Ne míezã fofoŋuawo hã míezãna sugar, míeƒlena sugar wodɔnɛ tso ge akɔ vɛ akɔ ɖa akpeteshi hafi míakpɔ míaƒe gbe sia gbe ƒe abolo ɖe tsi madzamadza nyui ta akpe.
Etsi dza la vɔ abe dzimgbatɔ va ma etsi ɖe dzana eƒona míaƒe ŋkuwo be wokɔ nɔ edɔ me hafi etsi la va gbɔ ɖe ŋu ɖe dzi gake sia ne tsi ɖoa le sia etsi ɖeke megadza kpɔ tsi dzadza hã megadze dzi abe le ko dzana le dziŋu ve ma me tsã no tsa nyo na wo fifia fifia le di sia kuɖiɖi ma la etsi va dza sia yo ko do sia katã woku mo dzedze ge nyo abe tsi ma dza nyo
nenye be tsi dzadza ne ɖoɖo ŋu ye hã nate ŋu awɔ dɔ ade ŋkuvia ɖe to meku gbɔ be hã ase nane gɔme anyinya kete na agble dem ɖo anyinya kete na agble dem ɖo ne gbe e megate ga yi sukulu hã nenye be tsi dzadza ne ɖoɖo ŋu ye hã ne ku ŋkuvia ɖe de to ne me wo ge ɖe me no hã ase nane me ta made akpe be mawo ne ve me sia me ŋu kple su be ŋkuʋuʋuiwo ke ʋuʋum fia hã woate ŋu do kple ŋu nyuiwo kple su be kpɔ alɔ ɖe mia ŋu ne míazɔ ɖe ŋgɔgbe ta mede akpe na mawo gake season ya me la edɔ gbɔtɔwo ge nya kata fi me be dɔ gbɔtɔ míawo me gbɔtɔ
mi don ka mi apo do po ma jeje mu nya kata fi magbo nya ma nye ba owo do akati e ka lo bo jare jinu na akpo do ka no po amachunwo atiama vajo mate mo ba mi amagbo to mi don kaka mi apo do po ma jeje mu so e kata magbo nya eni ya ati ma jaja na mi o na mi atinwa wo do adun o leti ma jao ina wo do re akareji ba do ka no wa atinwa po machunwo makpogo.
Climate change has had a lot of effect on the agriculture activities. For the past few years, the activities of climate change has resulted in a low yield. For instance, we have a lot of farmlands that don't have rains because of the erratic nature of rainfall. And because most of the farmers here depend on rain-fed agriculture. And now that the two major rainy seasons don't happen as it used to be, but now it has changed. We are championing climate smart agriculture. You should go in for a variety that takes a shorter period of time to maturity, so that when you get a little rainfall, by the time the rains will cease, the crop itself has already established. So actually, to say that climate change has not affected agriculture in any way, it's impossible.